Good morning. Grab your Bible. James chapter 1, verse 26. We're going to just do one verse again today. In fact, tomorrow, the next time, it's just going to be one verse again because there's so much that James wants to get across. So, James 1:26, it says, if any man among you, any man or woman, okay, if any person among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. So, what is religion? Religion, when the people in the world now use that word, religion is an organized, set up belief that it's a structure telling us the rights, the do's and the don'ts according to what they believe. Okay, that's why we don't say that we worship God with a religion. We don't necessarily say that Baptist is a religion. What we believe is that we have a relationship with God. It's not a religion. It's not just following the do's and the don'ts. It's a relationship with God. That's what makes it different. That's what our life is. It says, though, if any man among you seem to be religious, okay? Now, back in those days, you have to remember when this was written, there were scribes and Pharisees. Remember them? We talked about them during the life of Christ. They were the leaders in the religious, the Jewish religion back then, and still are. But they were the ones in charge of the synagogue. And their biggest thing was they had this huge long list of, I must not do this, 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 I must not do this. If I follow all of these do nots, I am religious. Or I have a whole long list of, I must do this, 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 then I am religious. And if I follow both of these, wow, am I a holy person? That's what they thought. Okay, so if any a man among you seem to be religious, so if there's a person that says, I am very religious, or I'm saved nowadays, okay, which we want everybody to be saved, but if there's a person that says, I'm saved, or I'm religious, I'm doing all of these do's and don'ts, let's see, and bridleth not his tongue. James has a lot to say about this. Our mouth, our tongue, because it's our mouth and our tongue that usually get us into trouble. So James talks a lot about it. We're going to be talking about that more in chapter 3. We've got a ways to get there. But anyhow, he says, but if he doesn't bridle his tongue. Now, what does that mean? You know, a horse, when they're getting ready to saddle up a horse, they put a bridle on, which is a way that they guide that horse. It's not just the bit that goes in their mouth, that goes for their mouth so that they can't eat, but it's also the bridle, and that moves their head. If you didn't have a bridle, it's very hard to control a horse. You can, but the horse has to be trained for it anyhow. But it says to bridle not his tongue. James uses this a lot. He talks about this thing of having a bit in our mouth or a bridle on our head that stops us from doing things. It directs us, just like it directs a horse. But it says, bridleth not his tongue. That means to control it. Okay, when a rider is on the back of a horse and they have the bit in the mouth of the horse and the bridle and all the reins and everything, they are controlling the horse. If you pull the reins this way, the horse goes that direction. If you pull it this way, it goes that direction. It's controlling. So he says, if a man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, does not control his tongue. So if I were to ask you, what does that mean, bridle not his tongue? It means the person can't control their tongue, or they don't control their tongue. But deceiveth his own heart. Now, we've talked about that up in verse 22, I think. Yeah, verse 22. Look up at that. It says, Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own heart, your own selves. Well, now we're deceiving our own heart. We're telling ourselves we're so holy because we don't do this and we don't do this, but we can't control our mouth. What does he say about this person? This man's religion is vain. What does that word vain mean? Vain means empty. It means nothing. It's empty. This man's religion is empty. It's worthless. All that list of do's and list of don'ts and list of do's, they're worthless. Absolutely worthless if we can't control our mouth. Because if we say, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, but then I start bragging, or I start talking bad about somebody or gossiping, our religion is vain. It's empty. That word vain in the Greek, it actually means like soap bubbles. Okay? What's in that soap bubble? It's empty. It's just air. There's nothing there. You pop it and it's gone. It's a soap bubble. Whenever you see this word vain, think soap bubbles. I actually have that written in my Bible. It says empty soap bubbles. Do you want your life to be known as being empty, worthless, vain, soap bubbles? That's what he's saying. If we can't control our mouth, no matter what we do, no matter how good we look on the outside, if we don't control our mouth, it's empty and it's vain. So think about that today. Be careful what you have to say. Be it good about yourself or bad about somebody else, or maybe it's taking God's name in vain. Ooh, that's a terrible one. That can really be an uncontrolled mouth. Maybe it's curses. Don't let that happen. Don't let those sneak in. You hear it on YouTube and on movies and things. Don't let that sink into your brain so that it comes out your mouth. We want people to know that we're Christians by how we speak. Is basically what this verse says. We know if you're saved or not by how you speak. So be careful to control your mouth. If that bridle is used, it's controlling your mouth. We need to put our own bridle on and our own bit in our mouth to keep us from saying things so that our religion is not vain. I hope you're going to have a great day, and I hope today you're going to control your mouth. Bye-bye.